We don't know whether Singer went out of his way to choose books or whether these were offers that came his way. We don't know whether, if he did choose these books, he chose them because they would give him more money, become bestsellers. These are things that, I mean, maybe Janet Hada knows this, or specialists on Singer, but it's hard to know to what degree translators chose to translate their own books. In terms of All Quiet on the Western Front, it was a bestseller in France and Germany. It was an anti-war novel. It reflected, I think, for Jewish readers, this hope that basic humanism and basic decency had trumped war hysteria, that peace and concord would become the new normal. All Quiet on the Western Front, I think, was greatly, the impact of All Quiet on the Western Front was greatly misunderstood, and it was felt that because a German book had emphasized the futility of war, that this meant that the book would be as popular among, say, German students or middle-class Germans as it was in France, England, and the United States, and that was far from the case. There were books in German, for example, by Ernst Junger, Storm of Steel, which took the same war experience, and drew radically different conclusions. In a sense, All Quiet on the Western Front, for Jewish readers, was a book of hope, a book of a new moral sense, the coming of a new moral sensibility, which would give Jews what they desperately needed, which was the belief that a decent, liberal, humane, tolerant Europe would find a place for them. That's not to say that Singer may not have chosen to translate this book because he could earn some money from it. I mean, I just don't know. In terms of The Magic Mountain, again, the Zauberberg, which came out in 1924, which is one of the great bestsellers of the Weimar Republic, illustrated an interesting personal odyssey for Thomas Mann. Thomas Mann was the same writer who in 1914, with the outbreak of World War I, had published Betrachtungen eines Unpolitischen, the observations of a non-political man, in which he defended the justice of the German war effort and defended the superiority of German Kultur over the allegedly sterile, facile, superficial civilization of the West. German culture was deep, Western civilization was superficial. Mann himself undertook a journey after World War I, which turned him into what the Germans call a Vernunftrepublikaner, a Republican of the head, meaning I don't love the Weimar Republic. As a German, I wasn't raised to love a democratic republic, but we have it, and let's make it work. And in a sense, The Magic Mountain was a journey which took Mann closer to his brother Heinrich Mann, who had accepted France and the Western Enlightenment. The whole plot of The Magic Mountain, where not much happens, you have hundreds and hundreds of pages of people talking to each other. But the plot is basically an ordinary middle class German, Hans Castorp, from Hamburg, comes to visit his cousin in a sanitarium, thinks he'll stay for a week, stays for 7 years. And in the process, he changes. And he understands in the great snow scene, where he's going to lie down in the snow and die in accordance with all the great glamour of traditional German romanticism and the romanticization of death, he suddenly chooses life. He chooses to live. He chooses to go forward. He rejects the traditional fascination with the morbid and with the medieval and discipline in the collective, and instead he chooses to go forward. And I think that, again, for Jews in the interwar period who were trying to understand what will happen to Europe, this vision of a Germany that was becoming more humane and more liberal, that was for the first time taking a critical look at its cultural traditions, this was probably pretty attractive. And then again, it was a great Bildungsroman.